Here we are now with the most important diecast review of the year. This is Helio Castroneves' 2021 Indy 500 Champion diecast review. Obviously, this is the figure edition, and we have waited a long time for this. And we'll get towards that stuff at the end of the video. We'll hear me rant and rave about green light and all that other fun stuff. But this is the most important one of the year. This is the big one that everybody's going to want to get, and unfortunately with the figure edition everyone has a chance to get. Again, something for later in the video. I almost forgot to say it, but of course, ahoy and welcome back. So yes, this car finally, after so long of waiting for it, it's almost April and we are just now getting this car. And actually, the one bright spot is it came out a little bit earlier than the Takuma Sato winner from last year, but not by much. Maybe by a week or two it beat it. I remember the good old days where you could get them in like November, December, maybe January, like with the Rossi car. But now we're kind of stuck in this whole thing of it coming out March or April. So again, this is the figure edition produced by Greenlight Collectibles, and it's not perfect of a car. It's not the most perfect car that we could have asked for, and that's unfortunate because I think Greenlight should have really taken their time with this one. Well, they had all the time in the world to do it, but there are some pretty major inaccuracies with this car. Now, don't get me wrong, it looks great. I remember saying, and I got friends to back me up on this, like David. The reason I said the only way I wanted Helio Castroneves to win the Indy 500 last year was to get this car because it looked amazing. It was an inverse livery of pretty much the same Meyer-Shank Racing livery that we've seen for the past couple of years. And this looked amazing to me, mainly because it was different. It was a nice, beautiful inverse. I loved it. But anyways, without further ado, let's take a look at the box first. So we move the diecast off to the side. We'll look at the figure next, and then also as a nice display piece, I got a 1/18 Borg Warner trophy, and it is pretty much anatomically correct, just like the real one. And if you don't know what I mean, yes, the real Borg Warner trophy has a set of balls. All right, so here we go. The Indy 500 logo, one of 2021 pieces. We'll get to that later. That is one big gripe of mine. The number 06, 2021 Helio Castroneves Indy 500 champion. Helio crossing start finish line. But interestingly enough, this isn't from the end of the race. You can see lap 122 there, which is kind of funny. And then you have Helio drinking his strawberry milk. I love the fact that there was no like outrage or uproar about that. Because, you know, strawberry milk is not technically a milk option, just like chocolate milk is not technically a milk option. You have a not so flattering picture of Helio. It kind of shows his age a little bit, which is not ideal, but I mean, it works, I guess. 06, 2021 Indy 500 champion Helio Castroneves with the logo, with him crossing the start-finish line next side by side with Alex Palou. I believe this would have been from the penultimate lap when they were that close side by side, or 2 laps to go, maybe, when he made the pass. This is from the day after picture, him wearing an NTT hat, you know, because you gotta wear a hat for every sponsor. Oh, interesting. They switched the camera pod, so this one is a dummy. On the real car, it had a pink actual onboard camera on the car, but they switched it to a dummy for the day after photos. But Helio with the Borg Warner, and then we go inside the slip sleeve, take that off, and you can see the little background to this. I'm not going to read it. You can pause it and read it if you want. And then here you have Helio doing kind of a Rolex 24 style celebration with the flag. He also has the wreath. He's been able to raise the Brazilian flag quite a bit recently, eh? And there you can see him holding up 4 fingers for being a 4-time champion. Here you can see him pouring the milk over his head, and then him climbing the fence. Probably one of the most wild moments I've seen in an Indy 500 celebration is just seeing fans climb the fence with him all over the speedway, and the yellow shirts couldn't do anything about it, which was even better. Here on this side, you have the scoring pylon with the results of the race. A little bit of a rundown with Palou in second and Pagano in third, Pato Award fourth. Over here on the side, a little bit of damage to my box, not the biggest deal. You can see him kind of just pointing up. Kind of funny how they have him pointing up right at the Greenlight Collectibles, like, yeah, buy this diecast. And yeah, so that's really it for the box. So let's take a look at the actual figure. We'll move the car back in shot here, but let's take a look at the figure. The quality of the figure has gone down, I feel, compared to, say, last year or the Simon Pagino or even the Will Power. It kind of has gone back to the way it was around Juan Montoya's time when he won back in 15. I don't know, it seems less realistic than it did. For whatever reason. This is the first time in a while that we've seen Helio kind of run his older style helmet with the orange and black. I mean, it's been since probably the Marlboro Team Penske days. I think he's ran this helmet in the Indy 500. On the back, you have another helmet back there. I'm not the most educated on Helio's helmets and what everything means on it. You got global medical response there on the side. You do have details for the hinge and adjustment points on the helmet. On top of the visor, you have Sirius XM, and then also little Bell logo and Troy Lee designs. I have it held up to kind of read it a little bit easier, and then you got Castroneves right there on the back. On the fire suit here on the front, we do have HRX, which is becoming a really big fire suit supplier, not only in sports cars, but also Indy cars. You have Honda, NTT IndyCar Series, Auto Nation, Sirius XM, and the Castroneves off to the side. And then you have kind of this messy pink scribble going up the legs and up to the waist. And then it continues around there. You can see his ass is kind of coated as well. Auto Nation on this side and Sirius XM on this side on the legs. On the arms, you do have some contingencies. Mike Shank Racing, Drive Pink, Sirius XM, and Auto Nation. On the gloves, they have his logo, the H logo. And they do have that pink and white kind of striping to it. On this side, you have Honda, Speedway, Meyer Shank Racing, Drive Pink, Sirius XM, and Sirius XM again. And then the shoes on this guy are, of course, black and white. And this pose I'm not the biggest fan of. For whatever reason, Greenlight likes making these figure poses where it's like very difficult to keep him standing. And the one thing to note about these figures are they are made of resin. So they do have a pretty decent chance of breaking if they fall over onto a hard surface. So you don't want to break an arm or a leg off. Now, luckily, they're pretty easy to put back together with super glue. Unfortunately, I learned that with my Alexander Rossi figure where he fell over and one of his arms broke off. But luckily, I was able to fix it and you can't even tell it happened. But it's just one of those things where I wish they would make kind of a stable pose. Like the Will Power one was perfect, where he's sitting in the car celebrating. And I'll be honest, I'm not the most, I'm not the biggest fan of this pose here. I think there was quite a few good ones that they could have used, like maybe him with the milk bottle with pink milk in it or whatever. And again, I know Greenlight doesn't do faces because of how like the Ryan Hunter Ray and the Tony Kanaan figures came out. And I don't blame them for that, but for whatever reason, the helmet on it just looks like it's taken quite a few years step back, because the Sato figure, the helmet on it looks pretty dang realistic for being a resin 1/18 scale figure. This one is just too round, in my opinion. It's like it's a perfect oval, and that's not necessarily a great thing. For me, at least. Some people are going to love the figure, and I know there's going to be some people that dislike the figure. Wow, we're already 9 minutes into this review, so it's going to be a long one. And just so you know, it does pose really well next to the 1/18 Borg Warner. And see, this is the issue that I get with the figure, is it is a little bit difficult to stand. Like, if you knock it, it's going to fall over. Like, if you knock the table or shelf or whatever it's on, it's going to fall over. So let's go ahead and take a look at the actual car itself. This is going to be a long review. I can already tell you that. Decent car. I mean, the livery on it looks great. And like I said in the opening, kind of Greenlight, they could have done some things better on this car. And they could have made it more accurate. So we're going to go ahead and start at the nose. So on the front main plane, it's very nice to see it is pink. It kind of breaks up all the black on the front end. You got Sirius XM going up the nose cone. You got Meyer Shank Racing, Dallara, Honda, NTT IndyCar Series, Drive Pink by Auto Nation, which that decal is a little bit crooked. It does have like a license plate and plate frame kind of feel. Like if you ever seen someone who's bought a car from AutoNation, they have their license plate and then they have a pink license plate frame that says AutoNation on it. Up on top a little bit further, AutoNation. Then the number 06, which is in a little bit brighter pink than the rest of the car, which it's not really noticeable unless it's in daylight. And then we have these two little pink designs in the livery. Now, this is where my first issue with this car comes in. So on the actual car, and I gotta see if I can find a picture of it, which you can kind of right there. It is on the car, however, they're not as big. They're like little tusks that come out of one of the vents for the aero screen. Like there is kind of a black line right here where the aero screen kind of meets the front of the tub, and then there's the little air vent or ventilation vent right there, and then the pink tusks come out of it. And they're like in a upside down triangular shape. Unfortunately here they've decided to go with a trapezoidal shape for whatever reason on it, and it's not accurate. Now I get that they're probably going off of the livery that was not the testing livery or anything like that, but I'm talking about the design concept from Meyer Shank Racing, which is what Greenlight does for most of their cars. That's why I complain quite a bit sometimes about the liveries not matching what we actually see on track, is because it is what they get from the teams. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt with that one. I know for a fact that Greenlight, when they do the deco samples and all that stuff, they come from computer generated imaging of the car, and it's not the final livery. So they only have that to base off of, and obviously teams change that shit all the time. Most infamously with the Max Chilton one, where it wasn't even a concept, it was a fan-made car that Greenlight was like, oh, okay. But it's still, I wish, especially for the Indy 500 winner, they would take the actual photos of the car and use those, like actual photos of the race day car, to make the deco samples, make the actual diecast that we get. That way we're ensured that we're getting the absolute most detailed car. And this right here is just a shortcoming. This is something that's always bothered me since the deco samples came out on this car back in like August. So anyways, moving on. Here on the side we have cap fixtures on the front wing end plate. We have aero paints and red RV, and then another sponsor that didn't pay enough to matter. Here on the aero screen up top, we do have AutoNation, SiriusXM, Honda, NTT IndyCar Series, and AutoNation again. There's a lot of AutoNation on this car. It's just, fact of everything. We don't have any sponsors inside the aero screen, which would have been nice. And we're actually going to go to another complaint of mine here in a moment, but there is no like AutoNation or anything like that. Like on the actual car, you can see the sponsors. Here, let me refocus the camera. You can see the sponsors inside the aero screen for the TV camera. It would have been nice if they added that here, because we know that they've done TV sponsors on cars before, i.e. the Willpower Champion car, where they actually had the sponsors on the side pod for the rear wing camera. And also like when they had extra sponsors here on the side pod. Way back when, like on the Dario car and the Dan Weldon winner in 05, they had onboard camera sponsors. It would have been nice if they could have done that on the inside of the aero screen as well. And yes, this car did have an onboard camera. Now this is reflective of the onboard camera that was on the car, because its dummy was just black. However, the real camera that it raced with was two-tone. It had a pink main pod with the black mounting point. Unfortunately, we don't get the silvered TV camera thing, so it looks like a dummy. It doesn't look like there's any onboard camera detail on the car, which is a shame. I wish they would do that. We know they can. They did it with the Ryan Hunter Wave 14 winner, and they did it with the Pagano 16 champion. But what can I say? It's Greenlight. The little details don't matter to them, unfortunately, but they do to me. And I probably will be adding my own onboard camera detail, which I've done in the past. PPG, AutoNation, and then one nice thing, and I pointed this out in my VK review, is we do have the tech sticker making its glorious return to these cars. I think it's really kind of the only extra thing to tell it's an Indy 500 car besides the Indy 500 Firestone Firehawks, which, by the way, tires, as you can see, they do have black rims, silver nut, and then obviously your dual-sided print on the Indy 500 Firestone Firehawks. Your Speedway logo here is a little bit chipped, which is unfortunate. I wish I would have saw that before I bought this car, but you know, I guess it is what it is. The number 06 up here in pink with the white outline looks good on this side. We'll get to the other side. It's not good on the other side. We do have your electrical shutoffs. Warnings, like usually there's a little pull thing to shut the electricals off. And then if you'll excuse me for 1 second, maybe I'm about to sneeze, I don't know. I'm not stopping this because I'm 15 minutes in already. Powered by Honda, Auto Nation here on the little mini fin. And now we get to another complaint of mine. So inside the tire ramps is pink on the diecast. Now, unfortunately, it was not like that on the actual car. Let me, yeah, you can see it here. You can see it in that little sliver there where it's just black on the inside of the ramp right there. And it should be that way. This is one thing Steve K pointed out almost instantly to me when the deco samples came out, is that the black should kind of follow down here, this little line, the little seam line between the actual flat part of the side pod and then the flick itself. But unfortunately, they carried the pink all the way up to the side of the rear tire flick. I wish they would change that. I really do. And again, this is one of the faults of going off of the design renders from the teams instead of looking at the car that actually raced on the track. So, and another little complaint, well, first, actually, on the top of the side pod, we do have Auto Nation, and then we have SiriusXM, listen free through June 8th. Hey, that's my birthday, and I listen to SiriusXM for free. Thank you very much. So, two things. Number one, the SiriusXM is actually too small on the side pod. If you look on the actual car, it goes all the way back to where the black starts here on the flick, and you can see there's this extra space here. So, the SiriusXM logo is too small on the side, and the next thing is the Speedway logo is too small. It should actually be a little bit over this joint here on the engine cover. I know that one's a minuscule one. I'm not going to bash them too much for the Speedway logo, but the SiriusXM logo definitely a little bit disappointing that they didn't make that proper size on the car. I really wish that they would have, but again, that's just me. On top of the flick, Drive Pink and SiriusXM, we do have Auto Nation. What is this? Justice Bros. I don't know what that is. And then SiriusXM again, and of course your NTT P1 Polo Word contingency. Here on the rear wing, pink top with Auto Nation. And here's another thing of disappointment. So on the actual car, and it's nice that I can actually do this side by side, the pink actually ends right about here. It ends before the boomerang kind of starts to twist down. I think there's like 2 or 3 centimeters or whatever, a space where it's flat and black and twist down. Now, unfortunately, there's no carbon fiber detailing either. They literally just leave this tip here on the boomerang or not wrapped at all, save the tiniest little gram of weight. But unfortunately, they did bring the pink down too much on the rear wing. Obviously, this is a 2021 car, so there's no number because they stopped doing that. But, yeah, so I wish they would have done that. I mean, it doesn't bother me too much, but at the same time, though, it would have been nice to have it accurate. Here is your standard diffuser and starter and all that, which is actually accurate because they actually allow teams to have that extra strike in the diffuser for more downforce. This side is almost the same. However, my next issue is up here, the number, the 06. It should be leaning forward. It should kind of follow the lean forward of the rollover hoop, but it doesn't. It actually leans back, and you can actually see the real car for comparison back here where it's supposed to lean forward, again trying to follow the contour of the rollover hoop, but unfortunately it does not. So they completely messed that one up, which is green light, of course, which sucks. I think, again, you literally you have this image at your disposal. It's on the freaking packaging, so why don't you, I don't know, look at it and double check and proof check that everything's, I don't know, accurate? But we'll never get that. Never will. And then inside there you got What is that? So it's a farm sponsor. So it's probably a farm in Ohio somewhere for Mike Shank or whatever. Um, I do like the Auto Nation on the fin though, by the way. But it looks like it's too small and too far down for me. Excuse me. I was trying to hold in a sneeze earlier and it worked out somewhat well. And by the way, the crash attenuator on the back is X-Track for the gearbox. It does have X-Track on it, I should say. Black mirrors, I forgot to mention that. Trying to kind of wrap up everything on this car because we're 20 minutes into this review. So yeah, this car, let's talk about it for a minute. Good news is the quality control issues are not really present. The only real issue for me is the aero screen is kind of popping up a little bit. Luckily, they fixed this joint little issue here. Let me bring the figure and the trophy back in. You know, it's a decent diecast. I wish it was a little bit better. Again, Greenlight, I really do wish that they went off of the photos of the car from race day when they made this car instead of the design sketches from Meyer Shank. I think we would have gotten a better product overall, more accurate, more just better. But unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever go back to those days again where we actually have like all the TV sponsors and all that crazy stuff. I don't think we'll ever get that again. It's a little bit disappointing. I wish we would have gotten the camera pod detail and the camera sponsors on the inside of the aero screen. I get that it's not the easiest place to put decals is inside the aero screen, but it would have been a nice detail. It would have had a nice bit of realism. The thing that really annoys me is the inside of the flicks and the two little pink tusks on the nose, how they ended up being trapezoidal. I really, really, really wish they didn't screw that up because, I don't know, it just bothers me because it's one of those things where it kind of made the front of that car look cool with those two little tusks there, the two little triangular tusks in the livery. I don't know. It's a decent car, don't get me wrong. I know a lot of people were excited for this one. This was one of those ones where I was eager to get it, but I wasn't like checking my email every single minute of every single day for the shipping confirmation. And now we're going to go into another little issue is this thing was supposed to ship in November of last year, of 2021. Here we are in February. Now we did get a one email update, so it's been delayed like 3 or 4 times. We got one email update from Shop IMS in January saying it was going to be delayed until February. We didn't get them in until the end of March, so the communication from the Shop IMS guys was not so great, and that hurts me to say because I have friends that work over at the IMS shop, and you know they don't. And listen, they're not bad guys. The people that work at the museum gift shop and all that, they are fantastic people. I've had many hours of conversation with them. They're fantastic. However, and I do want to point out the positioning of the Powered by Honda logo. It's too small and it's not properly placed. I want to throw that in there as well. But the Shop IMS people, the people who work at the museum gift shop, fantastic people. They were in the dark as much as we were. So don't think I'm bashing them. I think it's whoever works in the warehouse, whoever's in charge of that stuff. They really need to step up their communication games because this car, after taxes, costs $90. After Indiana sales tax, costs $90. Figure edition, I should say. And there should have been a lot of communication between the clientele and us. I mean, it doesn't take much to get together a mass email and send it to all the people that pre-ordered this and say, hey, unfortunately, there are shipping delays. We won't have them in until March. Like, we only got one update. Yes, they did give us 10% off of the store to kind of make up for it. But, you know, more communication on that end. Because if you keep people in the dark about it, people are going to get pissed off. And you're going to get people like me that just went ahead and bought this one at the Speedway and this pre-order one. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but there is some sour grapes there. And also from Greenlight, you know, you should try your hardest to make at least one shipment come in for all the people that pre-ordered on time. Like, don't wait for everything. Like, you can do multiple shipments. You've done them in the past. Don't keep us waiting an extra 4 months for this car. Because this is the one that everybody looks forward to. Like, you can fuck up your Dalton Kellett car because guess what? Nobody's going to fucking miss a Dalton Kellett car. Nobody's going to care. But if it's the Indy 500 winner, take care of the people that really want to get this, the ones that you have already given your money to. The next thing, one of 2021 on the figure edition. I'm old enough to remember, like, I don't know, a whole year ago when the Takuma Sato car, I paid decent amount of money. I mean, I paid about retail for it, but other people who got the figure edition here in the States paid $300-$500 for that car. And there was only 500 of them ever, and 450 of them went to Japan. There's only like maybe 50 of them here in the United States. Sorry. Now all of a sudden, this car gets 2021 in the figure edition. I have always been against them rerunning stuff. I've always been against them changing the production number of stuff because it takes away the collectible value of these cars. I love the figure edition because of the fact that it is exclusive. It's exclusive to IMS or shopims.com. You know, you can only get it at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And there's only 500 of them in the world. Okay, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to us collectors because it means there's a lot of a market for them, but there's not enough supply. The demand heavily 5 times over outweighs the supply. And it makes us hardcore collectors like myself actually feel like we have a collection worth noting because we actually get this car with the figure edition that's so limited. So it's unfortunate and frankly, it's sad that they went ahead and cranked up the production numbers to 2021 of these cars. I think that was a terrible move. I think, you know, in terms of, you know, everybody and their brother and sister getting one of these, fantastic, whatever. But it's unfortunate the market is so saturated with the figure edition that this car isn't even collectible at the moment. Now give it 5-10 years because he's a 4-time winner and everybody's gonna want the 4-time winner's car because likely it's gonna be a very long time before we see another 4-time winner of the Indy 500. But it's just one of those annoying things that they should have left it at 500 and made this thing so highly sought after. I mean, green light. Don't do this. Don't change production numbers because when this car came up for pre-order at the very beginning of June, guess what? It was only 500 pieces and I put my pre-order in during that 500 pieces. Then they changed it to 1,000 and now they changed it to 2021. So they changed it 3 times. What the fuck? Please stop. Don't do that again. Let's go back to 500 on the figure edition and that's it. Anyways, and by the way, that 500, why do you think the Sato figure edition from 2020 is so highly sought after? You can't find any. You will not find any anywhere. Anywhere. Maybe eBay, maybe one, but it's going to be a ton of money, and I was fine with that. Because if you didn't get one, sucks for you. And that's coming from somebody who has one. And that's coming from somebody who wasn't sure if he was going to get it, but either way, and it would have sucked for me too if I didn't get one, but I digress. This is the longest review I've done in a long time, but really that's it for this review of this car. Everyone's going to get it anyway, so my opinion on whether you should get it or not doesn't matter. I think you should because it's an Indy 500 winner, and it's a Helio Castroneves 4-time winner. You're not going to see that much. You're probably not going to see it for at least 10-15 years where we have another 4-time winner, so yes, you should get it. Or should I say 3-time winner? It depends on which side of the aisle you line up on. I made it 28 minutes before I went and threw a Paul Tracy reference in there. Fuck yeah. I mean 2002 reference. Fuck yeah. But anyways, that's it for this review, guys. One video left to go. It's the one that you guys have all been waiting for. It's the collection update. So that is coming up next. So thank you so much for watching. And as always, guys, peace out, and until next year's Indy 500 winner, we will see you then. And yeah, this is the final review of the 2021 diecast wave. We made it, guys. We've done it. We've reviewed so many cars. And finally, we get the most important one. So, anyways, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Share this video, like the video, blah, blah, blah. Subscribe, get me to that 1,000 so I can make money off this crap again. And yeah, we'll see you next time, guys. Peace out.